Why should you listen to a podcast in the first place? It's primarily so that you get the feeling of being in the same room that the podcast was recorded in. This room was a part of the palace in Udaipur, the city palace. It's the palace of a prince called Lakshyaraj Singh of Mewar. I'm proud to say he's a friend now. We became friends over the course of this podcast and my recent trip to Udaipur, which was very kind of awakening for me. I'll tell you why. Because if you're a modern day royal in India in 2020, one, you have access to the best education out there. Two, you have access to some of the best minds who'll visit you at certain moments in your life. I also feel that Prince Laksharaj is an entrepreneur at heart. When he was beginning his career, he decided to move to Australia, worked as a bartender, worked as a waiter, worked at the lowest rung of the hotel industry so he could come back and run the HRH Group of Hotels in Udaipur. That's the kind of mentality that he has. He's a humble guy. He has a lot of perspective. He's always hungry for more perspective. And he's got a lot to teach to the world. So, without further ado, this is my conversation with a modern day royal. Someone who kind of taught me a lot through the course of this interview. So, from this podcast, I want you guys to learn about what it's like being a modern day royal in modern India. Keep in mind, in the city of Udaipur, he's the prince. And people still worship him as a monarch. He's got people surrounding him all the time. He's got an entire palace to himself. He's got a whole army, in a way, serving him because people still look up to him as the future king of Udaipur. Also, keep in mind, he's a great, humble guy. He's a brother at heart. So, through this podcast, through the Ranveer Show, I want to bring out the real personality of this man to show you guys that, you know what? Certain people's lives can be this way as well. A direct descendant of Maharana Pratap. He's also got a lot of lessons from his family lineage. So we're going to tackle all those topics and we're going to change you through this episode of The Ranveer Show. Enjoy yourselves. Welcome to The Ranveer Show, you guys. I've got a very special guest today, Mr. Lakshyaraj Singh of Mewar. You're the Maharana of Udaipur. Like, how early in your life did you get to know that you're a part of royalty and you understood the concept of royalty?
Oh, very late in life, yeah. Very, very late in life. I think my parents did a fabulous job in keeping us completely in a state which I think was very, very good. I think we may have got a lot more flack from the outside world.
Like, what do you mean?
For who you were, for absolutely no relevance in your mind of who you were as a young child. But when you did go to school, obviously the others around you knew more of you than you knew of yourself. So the question was then. So you didn't just understand all of those sort of things. So perhaps dealing with the outside world of who you were was a bigger challenge than being at home, because I think they gave us a great upbringing. And I really say that this is something which nature has a huge role to play, and everybody needs to be grateful for who they are and what they are, what they really are. And at the end of the day, as far as my identity is concerned, I'm very, very proud of it. And it's just something that you have to learn to live with in either yourself or the people around you.
Coming back to that school phase of yours when people were noticing that, okay, there's royalty amongst us.
Ji.
Do you have any cool stories from then, like, or anything you remember?
Cool. It used to be more like being the chimpanzee in the zoo, that everybody's come to watch. And sometimes it used to be weird and sometimes it used to be fun, because most of the time you didn't realize why they were reacting to you rather than responding to you.
Like, what do you mean?
And like when you go and you see something which is perhaps not a part of you and you have a reaction when you see something. So you felt a lot like that when you were around people, and then you got to know some people, and then you got to make some more friends and things like that. But as you said, when you first walk into school, people carry this excess baggage, and that's something that you never knew at that early age of life. But in terms of being more cool, I think from your perspective, I don't blame you, but I do think that yes, it looks cool. But when you wear my shoes and when you go through the journey that you do and look at certain things in a certain manner, they are not as cool and as fairy tale in terms of what the films may have done from the inside. And that's something that you've got to understand as you are walking that path, because I'm a firm believer of the fact that the idea is not to go through life. The idea is to grow through life. And I think these are all the things that make you grow through life.
Yeah. Could you give like 3 challenges of your life that Aam Janta would take for granted?
Like, for example, once you said being born as who you are and it being cool. So you know, so that is something that has been taken for granted.
People make assumptions about it.
People make assumptions. So that is the biggest thing. कि अरे इनके पास सब कुछ होगा, किस चीज़ की कमी है, it's so cool, this, that, and other, and everything and all of that. So they don't see the larger spectrum. They are catching the short end of the stick.
Second.
But, second thing is that, oh, you know, your parents may be treating you differently, and so on and so forth. Trust me, the scrutiny that they put us, or at least I can tell you from my own experience, that how strict that they both have been, and rightly so. There is being strict does not take away their love, or doesn't take their affection, or doesn't take away any of that. So it shouldn't kind of bite into saying that they didn't love us. But the fact of the matter is, being strict was really something that we noticed from our friends and all of that around us. Perhaps they got away.
People said, ki, dude, your parents are like super strict.
Exactly. So, you know, things like that. So if somebody was driving without a license in your school or brought a two-wheeler, now our parents won't allow us to do that.
Got it.
Or that you were not going to just pick up a bike and just because you're 12 years old and you can ride a bike or you can drive a car, oh, fine, take it and here are the keys. Because a lot of the children that came to school at that age brought their own vehicle. So we also went back home and saying, oh, most of my friends are bringing cars and bikes to school. So the first thing that they ask, how old are they and do they have a license? So I said, if they do, then by all means you can take one. And then I found out, and that's how I learned that at that age you were not allowed to drive. So certain parents that would just allow you to do some of those things, our parents just didn't allow us to do any of that. So things like this, you know, so there were a lot of things that were on the right side and making sure that you didn't disrupt things around you and were well within your range and limits of things that you did, and still within that you could enjoy a fair bit.
So, and a third challenge.
The
pressure?
No, not at all. I think that would be very unfair of me to say that in case if there was any pressure. A lot of, again, so now you're giving me the answer. So a lot of people would think for me that there is a lot of burden. And I completely disagree with that, you know. And I think if one substitutes that word for a challenge, then perhaps yes. But the straight thing that you're thrown at you is that, oh, you must be underneath so much pressure, you must be underneath so much burden, and this, that, and other, and everything. All of that, not really. You know, at the end of the day, everybody has that kind of pressure. But just to think that this person is constantly living underneath 100 tons of weight, I think is perhaps untrue. So these are probably three things that come to my mind at this point.
Can I stop talking to you as a podcaster and talk to you as a younger brother?
Please, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a very straightforward question.
Ji.
With all this, how did you not become arrogant?
अच्छी सूरत को संवरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, सादगी में ही क़यामत की अदा होती है. So, you know, so that's one thing as a mantra that you've always grown up with, and that's certainly not a makeup that you need when, simpler things in life are far superior and far better.
Can you explain that deeper?
It's a Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Qawwali line that I have stolen and shared with you. Exactly that. You don't really need to put up a make-believe, makeshift, throw your weight around to get recognized at all, you know. Sometimes the ordinary things in life stand out as extraordinary. And one of the greatest things as humans that we do have is being down to earth, being respectful to people, and being one with them. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. And why not share it, you know.
Do you believe in karma and rebirth?
Yes.
So do you sometimes look around you and ask yourself, what did my soul do right to be born here? Or what is the purpose?
Lot of the time.
And what is your answer to that?
I haven't found one yet.
Okay.
But obviously, something or another one must have done to be able to do what they are doing now. And I think everybody in their own soul should be very grateful for who they are. इसके अंदर मैं ये भी कहता हूँ कि जीवन लेकर इस पृथ्वी पर पैदा होना भाग्य की बात होती है. इंसान का रूप लेकर पैदा होना सौभाग्य की बात होती है.
Correct.
So whoever has been given this form of being a human is certainly a matter of eternal greatness.
So outside of being, you know what people term you as, a royal, a king, a Maharana, what would you call yourself? Would you call yourself an entrepreneur, an administrator? What?
No,
how do you look at
none
yourself?
of that. None of the above. These are all roles and tags that people give you. You know, and now with the world, the way it is flowing, in terms of its digital world, in terms of everything else that is flowing around on this planet, these are taglines and things that are for conveniences of people are given to you. You know, you get up, you do a job. If you ask me professionally what I do and where I make my bread and butter from, it's from the hotel industry. So I've qualified in being a hotelier. I've got my degree in hospitality and tourism management. That's how I look at myself. And are there other things that you do which interest you? Yes, you do. Absolutely.
So I read your entire profile in detail, and the one thing that stuck out to me and the one thing that appealed to me the most was this, that you worked at the lowest level of the hotel industry and learned it from there.
But why wouldn't you?
I'll tell you what, like, it is an important life skill. I believe that if you're opening a startup for sweepers, you have to be a sweeper yourself.
Right.
But not everyone, and I'm talking about mainly city kids, not everyone is ready to go that low. Not everyone can eat kichad at the beginning of their journeys. So what was in your head right before you took that step?
Exactly that. That till the time you don't do it yourself, you don't know what it's going to be like. So only the shoe wearer knows where it pinches. So at the end of the day, it's important to put on that shoe. What you do know that everybody else is going to do, and you did it with utmost joy. It was such a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing something and for it not to be fun within the industry or an area that you may have chosen of your choice. So, it's not something that somebody forced me into. So it shouldn't really come out as a surprise. Oh, you worked at the lowest level, or you cleaned dishes, or you washed toilets. So I don't see, these are the sort of things that surprise me. Perhaps you asking me that question surprises you that, this is what was done. But it surprises me that this is even a question in the first place. Because at the end of the day, if you want to become something, you need to go through a process, right? So at the end of the day, if you want to do something, you've got to follow all the parts. You need to eat food, so you need to go buy, there need to be vegetables, you need to clean, wash, and then will it be a complete process. So same way, if you are wanting to achieve something in life, you've got to experience all of it at all levels, and then perhaps go ahead with it. So when you do speak to somebody at that level, when they're standing in front of you, you can look them in the eye and talk to them, and not be because of who you are, rather than what you have done is the reason why you're able to connect to them.
Right. Your experiences.
Precisely. And the, more than experiences, it's the technical know-how and the skill of knowing what needs to be done. You may think that cleaning a toilet may be very simple, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that you may need to know to make sure that it's not harmful for you and it's not harmful for the person using it. So that is what is the most important bit.
Got it. So in your own words, could you describe your whole phase working as a bartender and working at that lowest, so-called lowest phase of the hotel industry?
Yes. Bartender is pretty high up there, to be very honest.
No. I meant bartender lowest phase.
Yeah.
What did it teach you about life that you didn't know prior to doing it?
I think a lot of things that you just knew at the surface level.
Like?
For example, dignity of labor. Right? So when you were working at the lowest level, or when you were working as a bartender and all of that, you were always kind and courteous to people. But when you actually went behind the table, or when you went behind areas where people did not see you and did a particular job, it kind of gave you a little bit more in-depth understanding of what it actually took from within and from the outside and the surroundings to be able to complete a certain task.
Which was like, what did it take from within?
The fact of the matter is that, you just took it as a very by-the-way issue. You were always respectful and kind to them. But yes, it was somebody's job and they needed to do it. But when you do it yourself, it's a taste that only you can figure out, or you can feel and understand that what it actually means when you go in there, when you do a job, you make a drink, you wash a glass, you put things back. That entire flow teaches you in its own accord, and to be able to explain it, if somebody could have, then I perhaps wouldn't have had to do it. But the fact of the matter is that when you follow an entire process is when it kind of explains to you and makes you look at them with a lot more dignity and a lot more respect.
Yeah. So because you've been a batsman, okay, I'm going to tell you one parallel.
Well, at least somebody considers me to be one, so thank you.
Because you've been a batsman. I keep telling my close friends who have not been able to keep in touch with that, yaar, main abhi batting kar raha hu life mein. There's many businesses I'm trying to start. There's many things I'm trying to do with my life. That's why I'm a little busy, but I will come back to the dressing room one day. And I see that in you as well. You're very busy. You're doing a lot of things, possibly in this phase of your life. So when you took up those gigs as a bartender, working in the hotel industry, was it with this intention of turning your property into like a top quality hotel? Like, was it with that entrepreneurial ambition?
At the end of the day, father was already running a very successful business, right? So the idea was to put a shoulder to the wheel. And that is where my inspiration came in to lean towards hotels. So when you grew up in that environment, when you were seeing your father do the job and be very hands-on himself, So, subconsciously at that point in time in your school holidays, these sort of things start sinking in. You don't realize this, but subconsciously they start sinking in your mind that, oh, this is fascinating, or this is interesting, and so on and so forth. So the idea was to be able to really come in and help somebody who was already so passionate about certain things. And that's where you took on the journey from and started to understand the nuances and nitty-gritties of how to build and how to understand, so you could communicate with people at the level that they are at.
Without killing and without causing any harm to another physical being, do you somewhere look at yourself as a warrior, which is your Rajput heritage kicking in, as an entrepreneurial warrior?
देखिए, जो शस्त्र उठाता है वो वीर होता है, और जो शस्त्र त्याग देता है वो महावीर होता है. So the answer is within that in the 21st century, I think.
Got it. No, but okay, I'll tell you why I asked you that. So I'm deep into spiritual reading, and the spiritual school I go to.
Then all the more reason you should associate with this line.
Yes, for sure, for sure. But they keep promoting the idea that you can get past any challenge in life if every single day you wake up with a mentality of a warrior. So that's not killing anyone or causing any harm.
No, I understand that.
That's overcoming your challenges.
Yeah, fair enough. But I don't think that these days, the way, at least for us, or what we experience or what one goes through, I think one doesn't need to be that harsh subconsciously also.
Okay.
Right? So I don't think that one needs to take things of life, of a day-to-day challenge of an office or entrepreneurship or working at the level of being a warrior. I think very much so you can just be something which is very simple, and the idea is to dispassionately unassociate yourself and look at things for what they are, and decomplicate things. That itself is, and that's what I say, when you sometimes let your guard down, then you let your weapons down, but that doesn't mean that you let your situational awareness down. And once if you're situationally aware, you can deal with a lot of things very peacefully.
Got it.
So, and as I say, here the idea is not to prove, the idea is to improve.
Yeah.
I'm not here to go like in school, thank you for participating, you get a certificate in school, or thank you for participating. You're not here for participation. These days, what we really need to do to overcome all of that and to make sure that you are able to run things in a certain manner is that you need, and what is happening, or what I see around me, is 99% participation and 1% involvement. What you need to do is 99% involvement and 1% participation.
Can you break that down a little more?
When you look at things from the outside, is participating. When you become the thing yourself, then you are involved. And that's what you really need to do. So once you're involved with things, then you don't need to go to the extent of being a warrior in your mind, of taking each day as a war. There are days and there are challenges where you need to be a warrior. Right? When life throws certain things at you, at that point in time, you really need to kind of think that intensely.
Yeah.
But on an everyday basis, I think there is going to be a burnout, because that level in your mind is a very intense level, and you can't be a frivolous warrior. A warrior is at a certain league, and it has a certain stature, and there is a certain intensity to it. To be on that intensity on a 365-day basis is a very high level of intensity.
Yeah.
Right? So you only pull out those things when you really need to be that.
Got it. What has been your success formula for all the stuff you've done now? Because you've grown businesses.
So there is a simple formula that I follow. It's called GGGN.
Okay.
So it stands for greatest good, greatest number. So in life, whenever you're trying to do anything, the philosophy is to be able to do the greatest good for the greatest number possible. So the first thing, yes, anything it may be. So it's not subject or bound down to humans.
Got it.
It's intangible, and it's very situational, and it's unconventional. So one is not going to try and put a theme to it, a structure to it, a fabric to it, and all of that. You apply it on the moment.
Yeah.
So, for example, like now, the idea for me, if you take this talk with you, for which I'm very thankful to you for taking out the time and coming, my intent for this is that it needs to be the greatest talk. Right? And at the end of the day, with your number of followers, which one may be very jealous of, but at the same time very happy, in all jokes, I don't mean that seriously, but yes, is that it's for the greatest number. Right? So automatically, if you had to apply this formula, you say ki apply it now, like what you have been doing, which is fantastic, to make it more relevant and to make it more explainable. So this formula, for me, in this moment, what am I trying to do now is to talk to you in the greatest and in the most honest and in the most transparent manner that I can. So that would be the greatest good for me. And through your means, it's going to be for the greatest number.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to that brother mode now.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you this. I feel like you're a very self-aware guy.
Right.
Anyone
Thank
who's...
you. I hope my lovely family is listening to this. So, at least somebody's declared me as somebody who's self-aware. So that's on record now. So
Like you're
thank
relatively
you.
self-aware.
Well, now you are going back. So, we'll keep it to the first one and try and delete this. Right?
Hey man, I said I'm going to talk to you as a brother. So I got to be honest.
Fair enough.
But you're pretty self-aware. So
We'll keep that part last.
when you analyze yourself,
Ji.
what do you think is your weakness? Because self-aware people also know their weaknesses.
Like I said to you earlier, so the levels of involvement, I personally feel that to the extent of which I can push myself to be involved, I think I'm probably slacking out on that a little bit. Right? Perhaps I'm being a little lazy or may not be taking things to the boundary or pushing them as much as I could or should be able to do it. So
Lesser intensity than what your heart tells you to get.
perhaps, yes.
Why is that though?
I think one just gets lazy, to be very simple and very honest. Why? I don't think there is any comprehensive, concrete, solid such answer. One just says, all right, fine, chalta hai, kal kar lenge. So that perhaps can reduce.
Again, whatever people perceive you as,
Ji.
at the end of the day, that tag of, royalty and all will kind of be with you for a long time.
Ji.
So people automatically assume that when you're born into luxury, you don't have ambition.
Ji.
But I see a lot of fire in you as well.
Ji.
And like relatively a lot of fire. But when you're born into luxury.
Usually the first said thing is what is taken, right? So that was the law that you guys told me. Whatever is first said remains, right?
No, but right now in life, what is your ambition? As in, at the age of 50, what is the best possible scenario for you as a person?
Well, I think that's really too far, to be very honest. At the end of the day, I think it's very, very important to be relevant. And I think a lot of people miss out on doing things for tomorrow and letting go of today. And that is a mistake I definitely don't want to make.
Like, can you explain that again?
लोग हमेशा कहते हैं कि अपने भविष्य के बारे में सोचो. बेशक सोचना चाहिए. मतलब there is no question of the fact that one should not be focused, but the amount of time and energy that one puts in for tomorrow every day, and the life that goes by for that tomorrow every day, one's pretty much reached their end of that tomorrow before they've even realized that they've been able to think of their present. And I've seen that happen too often. And I really don't want to be like that person that's trying to chase its self, and you're doing nothing else but just going round and round in circles. And when you look up after going round and round and you listen, oh, I'm still right there where I didn't even begin from. And life is already knocking on your doors trying to say that, listen, it's time over now, So you've just seen so many people make that mistake. I rather be now. I rather be here in the now. I rather enjoy myself and let my now have an impact on tomorrow.
Right.
Rather than leaving the now and start thinking about the tomorrow. It's the way you really think of things. Nobody's saying that it's a right or a wrong approach or a perspective, but each to their own. People want to today think about when they are 50 by all means, as a human, they have the liberty to do it. They have the right to do it. They have the ability to do it. But I rather do something today which would let my 20 years from now be decided. I rather leave it to my actions of today.
So would it be fair to say that your biggest advice for the world is focus on execution of your daily tasks today?
Yeah, and then absolutely, and let the time of the future be decided by the task that you executed today, because that is also going to mature. It's not going to be something that you're going to execute today and it's going to have a result back into you in the next minute, right? That's also going to take a process. It's also going to take its toll. It's also going to take some time, good or bad, but that's the call that you have chosen to make, and let that call mature in that time to come and enjoy it.
Have you seen Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham?
Yes.
Do you like that movie?
Yes.
You remember it, right?
Yes.
You remember Amitabh Bachchan going, Raichand. That was his family's name.
Yes.
So
yes.
that way, when you were a young adult,
Yes.
what values did your family teach you where they told you that, listen, this is something that should never leave, like, our family's lineage.
Okay, so with that name of Rai Chand, you reminded me something that my family told me. Knowing you now, in this little span of time, you'll ask me, explain it to me. So I rather just get straight into it and explain it to you.
That's right. I'm all about the deep life.
So there are 5 types of Chands, okay?
Okay.
So one is a Rai Chand, right? The person who only gives you advices, right? And somebody will come and give you an advice in how to build a house. But the moment you ask that person कि भाई साहब आपने अपना घर कैसे बनाया, so the first response will be, अरे सर मैं तो किराए के मकान में रहता हूँ. Right? So those are Rai Chands. People who have never built a house in their entire life themselves or know nothing about it.
सब लोग को राय देते रहे.
But सबको राय देंगे वो. Okay? So those are people you got to be very, very careful about. The second type of Chand that comes into this being is Hukam Chand.
Okay.
जो they seem in their own mind and to the others who are slightly elevated from these Rai Chand people. They consider themselves a notch higher. कि oh, these are people who give advices. We just give orders. कि ये कर देना. You know, so that is a Hukam Chand. The person who's just given a order. So, you know, so these are 2 Chands that you be very, very careful about. The third Chand that comes in is the Gyan Chand. You know, who thinks themselves कि ये Hukam Chand or ये Rai Chand, you know, they are both fighting. Let them be. Let me open my own school and my own Pathshala, which is Gyan. You know, so they will start quoting the various books and so on and so forth. And then the first thing you ask them कि साहब आपने कितनी बार पढ़ी है उस किताब को? अरे मैंने पढ़ी नहीं है पर मैंने सुना है. So they think themselves to be the biggest Gyanis of this entire universe, and they'll be the Gyan Chands of life. The fourth Chand that you got to be very, very careful of is the Hushyar Chands, who think that these 3 are absolute fools and the only thing that one knows is me because I'm the most clever of the lot. So I'm the Hushyar Chand. Yeah. So इसे Rai Chand तो राय देगा, Hukam Chand हुकम देगा, ये ज्ञानी ज्ञान चंद वो बात करेगा. इन सब का great granddaddy is me and I'm Hushyar Chand. You know, so he will be a mixture of all those 3. The fourth one. So the idea is not to be any of the 4. The idea is to be the 5th, which is Karam Chand. You do your business, you do what you need to do, and you be happy with it, and let all these 4 Chands live in their own delusionary world and not bother. And you keep doing your karam, as they say. नियत जिसकी अच्छी है, किस्मत उसकी दासी है. कर्म जिसके अच्छे हैं, उसके घर में मथुरा काशी है.
Wow. Is that the advice you got from your family?
Yes, in a nutshell.
Okay.
So if you would have asked me what does it mean, explain it to me, then this is what the explanation is.
Reverse answer.
So not to be any of these people, but focus on what you need to do and be the Karam Chand. Chand bano, but Rai Chand, Gyan Chand, होशियार चंद, हुकम चंद, ये चंद नहीं बनना है. अपने को करम चंद बनना है, जो इंसान अपने कर्म पे ध्यान दे, अपने मकसद पर ध्यान दे और उसके ऊपर चलता रहे.
You're a direct descendant of Maharana Pratap. So do you think that this is the message that's been passed down the generations also? That
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is no question about it. You know, at the end of the day, it's a message that is going to be passed in any family that is conscious of doing the right thing.
Right. Execution.
Yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been floating on this planet for 1500 years.
So what is your, life's most impactful 3 movies, which have had like the deepest impact on you as a person?
So the first film is called Dosti, the second film is called Dosti, and the third film is called Dosti. It was shot in the 60s, and it's a fantastic film.
What's it about?
Dosti.
Could you explain it a little more?
For that, you really need to watch the film. It's all about friendship, and it tells you a lot of parameters and teaches you a lot about life. Sometimes cinema does do good, may not be all the time. We won't go down that route just now. But yes, sometimes they do have a great impact on you, and I think this is certainly one such film that done in a very ordinary manner, but has an extraordinary impact.
So when you look around you, I'm just talking about Udaipur for now. When you look around you, what do you feel when you see Udaipur?
A place where you can hear silence.
Okay.
अगर खामोशी की आवाज़ किसी को सुननी है, तो ये जगह है.
What do you feel about your home?
Exactly that. It is home. How home is to everyone, that at the end of the day, a place where you can actually listen to silence and interpret what it's trying to say. It's a place where you can be with your family, you can be with your loved ones, you can be with your children, you can be with your girlfriend, you can be with your wife, you can be here alone.
Okay, you'll have peace here.
Absolutely.
Have you ever had a conversation with your granddad about what it was like during British times?
Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away before I was born, so I didn't. That is one of my regrets of my life, but again, something that is not in your control. But
But any of your elder relatives, have you spoken to them about
constantly,
how things were different before?
constantly. First and foremost, we were never subservient to the English. Right. So one of the areas that never came underneath the British rule
Yeah.
or the Mughal rule.
Yeah.
So, which is something that we pride ourselves upon. That is our greatest wealth, which is our self-respect and our dignity.
Right.
You know, that was something that was never for sale, and was never given up at any cost.
Yeah.
You know, so that was not up for auction. So that is the greatest thing that we've ever spoken about, was exactly that they may have been floating around in this country, but they were never able to have 100% rule on this country.
Right.
Was because of a certain family that did not allow them to take over their particular place, or whatever the consequences may be, or whatever they may have thrown at us at that perhaps at that point in time. And something that I share with a lot of pride, and help to clear a lot of cobwebs in people's mind through your channel, is the fact that we were the first family to merge in the Republic of India as well.
Yeah.
We were the first state to say that let's make a Republic of India. Yeah. So, which is something that we pride ourselves on. So, my grandfather, my great-grandfather had the opportunity of going to the Red Fort, hoisting the national flag and declaring India independent. Wow. Now, that is something that, we take pride in being able to share this beautiful country and its heritage and its lineage with the rest of the world.
Were there monarchs back then, like when India just became independent, who weren't completely willing to become a part of the Republic?
Absolutely. That's what history tells you. And,
on a human level, what do you think was their thinking? Not on a political.
Well, I'm not them. So to be very honest, that was not something that we did. Neither do we understand that. We didn't understand it then, or nor did my forefathers understand their philosophy or their thought process or their approach then. And we don't understand it 70 years hence of India's independence either, because Maharana Pratap's first battle or first fight was for independence. Right. So the word Swatantra was given birth during his famous war of Haldigati, is where the word independence came in. So Mewar has been wanting independence for a very long time, which finally came in 1947 through different rules, through different reigns, through different people that came from the outside, and finally an independent India was born, which is all what we have always wanted to have.
Yeah. So you have kids now.
Ji.
But if you could only pass on one life lesson to your kids, what would that life lesson be?
Be who they are and want to be.
Like, explain that.
Exactly that.
Just be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Without me trying to govern their life or teaching them what to do. The idea is that they are already intelligent. We need to understand the fact that they are our teachers. We are not their teachers. We are going to make them dumber by teaching them. And today, if we could open a school, I would open a school for parents of our age rather than sending these kids to school. Yeah. Because they are born super intelligent, they are exceptionally sensitive, they are aware of their surroundings, they know what they want. Our job is to be able to nurture and flourish them and help them and aid them to be what they want to be, rather than from our side, oh, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do this. So they don't, from our vocabulary vis-a-vis them, should get deleted. Obviously, one doesn't mean it in a manner when they're standing somewhere dangerously and not saying no to them. But otherwise, the idea is that what they want to do in their daily life should just be really encouraged. And when you certain times when you just let things be natural and don't poke and prod them, they flourish better.
Yeah. So, when a human is younger, in general, it's a natural human tendency to be a little more fiery, little more hormones flying around. So, is there anything from your youth that, I won't say regret is a strong word, but is there anything from your youth that you look back and say, maybe shouldn't have thought like that, maybe shouldn't have done that?
So, you've declared me old already by that statement.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, thank you. No, I don't. I think it's all. That is all a part of now my experience, and I don't think that there is anything then that I would feel that I have not got on me just now. Yes, certain things in life where it may have been featured or the way it unfolded may not have allowed me to do certain things, but there isn't anything now that one feels that one cannot do or achieve or not willing to do with the experience that you have. And this may again change dynamically a year later, 6 months later, 5 years later, depending on which point or junction of life that you may be at.
Crazy. And I'm going to ask you a little shameless question, okay?
Please.
Did you get a lot of female attention back in the day for being prince or a king?
Well, you would probably not believe this, but in this I can be confident of my family of actually saying the truth. I was a very, very shy person.
Okay.
I would look for a corner in a round room, which is absolutely a fact. Even if you did get a lot of attention at that point in time, it just didn't. And I went to an all boys school, a boarding school. Which clearly didn't help the question that you just asked. So, and post that, as I said, I was exceptionally a shy person. And then, as things progressed, you kind of understood things better and differently and all of that. But yes, I think the prime time of it, one was, just looking at friends who were like you and would give you company, and would get too busy as if talking to yourself so that you didn't have to talk to somebody else.
You were introverted back then?
Absolutely.
How did you become this extroverted person that you are?
For the pure reason that a lot of people thought that one was being arrogant or one was trying to be rude, but they did not understand the fact that one was just being shy. And it was a wrong message that was just being sent, that this person doesn't want to talk or doesn't want to say hello, they think something else, or being rude, whereas it was nowhere anywhere close to it. I was just really not confident in talking to someone. Right? So that kind of gave me the motivation, rather than it being a disadvantage or that situation being very, very negative towards me. I thought might as well try and convert that into an advantage, and try and do something about it. And then slowly, baby steps, one thing at a time, allowed you to grow, and not let that other person feel that you were being rude, but it's just that's how you were.
So a lack of confidence usually arises from something that happened in your childhood or some image you have of yourself in your own head. So what was that for you, which you overcame?
I think I was very comfortable in my own company, which I still am.
Okay.
So now I'm just able to divide the two better. So even if I want to spend time with myself, I'll still do that today. But it won't be at the cost of being rude to you.
Samjha.
That if I didn't want to talk to you, I wouldn't know how to avoid you, and now I wouldn't know what to do, and so you would get caught up in that mess. Now you don't get caught up in that mess. You're able to handle that situation better. So if I need to be with you here, and I need to talk to you, and I need to be who I need to be and what I need to be, then I might as well do it and do it properly. So that at the end of the day, you don't hurt anybody's feelings. You don't disrespect someone. That is very, very important. And I think unintentionally people were just getting disrespected, and they didn't realize that that was the case. So you just manage the two sides well. Now today, if I need to spend some time with myself, nobody is stopping me to spend time with myself. I can do that as well, and I don't need to run away from people. So I have the best of both worlds.
How do you spot bootlickers?
What does that even mean?
Like someone who sucks up to you.
Oh, very, very easily now. It's just one of those things that's what you learn. Sitting where you sit, you meet so many thousands of people every day.
From childhood?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the formula?
There was no formula. People would just try and come. And these days, a lot of those tactics have started to change. So you have to keep up with the trend of how people do that job differently every day. So that is a pathshala that I go to and get that experience for free completely.
But can you give us a viewpoint from that side of the court? Like, what are you seeing?
सर मैं आपका बहुत ही बड़ा हितैषी हूँ और बहुत ही बड़ा मैं आपका फ़ैन हूँ पर आपने जो आज जो कपड़े पहन रखे हैं वो आपके ऊपर ठीक नहीं लग रहे हैं तो और ये मैं सिर्फ इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि आप इस चीज़ को अच्छी तरह से समझेंगे क्योंकि मैं आपको बहुत चाहता हूँ. So sometimes, now this has two sides to the edge. Sometimes that may be absolutely correct. I'm not known for my dressing sense at all. And sometimes that just is got to do with somebody, trying to say a negative to you to be able to get you closer to them to saying, oh, this person has actually said something that other people won't. So they want to use that card to be able to present something that they would feel that usually people wouldn't say. So, so you've got to be very conscious of the fact, sometimes when people sitting with their arms closed may just be hugging themselves. And sometimes people sitting with their arms closed may be being actually closed. Now, that is something you've got to be careful of the fact that is it just an emotional, physical touch to yourself? Or is it somebody who's actually being closed? Now, that depends on your levels of expertise, knowledge, depth, understanding, to be able to perceive a situation and not jump to conclusion. Then you may be able to come out to a conclusion that maybe not.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to perhaps probe that situation better. But now, with a lot of things and experience, you're able to figure out most of the stuff, not all of the stuff. So, you read in a book and they say, oh, jab aadmi aise baitha ho ya waise baitha ho, so it means this and it means this. It's not a blanket. There are a lot of people who come who like to have their arms around themselves, and they just like to be, feeling comfortable and hug themselves. And, that's something that we should be open to be able to see.
But you do study body language.
Oh, by now it just becomes first nature to you. By default, a lot of these things that just your antennas just go up. A lot of these things you just end up noticing, not because you want to, but it's just because your eyes have just got trained that way. Right. Your ears just stand up, even if you may not be looking at something, but if something's being spoken, your ears would just stand up on certain things. So these things happen when you are in a certain scenario, certain space. And it just teaches you from there on.
And the flip side question,
Ji.
What do you enjoy about certain people? Like, why do you go like, okay, I can be friends with this person?
Exactly because of that reason. It's entertainment for free.
No, I'm not saying friends with the bootlickers.
Yes.
I'm saying the actual...
No, they think that you are their friends.
Okay.
I may not be. So from your side, I'm giving you the answer. You think I am your friend, but I may not be. But I may be just
I don't think you're my friend. I think you're my brother.
No, thank you. That's a very intense and a very fond association. But yes, exactly from a perspective of somebody who's come up to, keep you on the right side for the wrong reasons. Exactly that. They'll come and start telling you stuff.
But I'm going to give you some advice.
Ji.
I think you're not really well dressed today, and I'm only telling you this. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But okay, I actually want to know the people you genuinely select to be around you.
Ji.
Is it the good energy you sense from them? You're like, okay, ठीक है, this person's not a bootlicker.
जी नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. It's not like that at all. At the end of the day, you got to be very very open. You cannot be closed on these things because you don't know कि किस चौराहे पे कब कहाँ कौन व्यक्ति आपका दरवाजा आके खटखटाए. And you need to not be looking at them and making the same mistake like they make for me. And thinking of them with that excess baggage in mind. Otherwise, if you ask me, I have my childhood friends who I've known for 30 years, and I hang out with them. So there is really so that is one compartment. But at the end of the day, does that mean that do I close the doors on the rest of the world? Not at all.
Got it.
Yeah. So and that won't allow me a meeting with you. I won't be sitting here with you, being able to learn and understand how this world works. So I would be closing my doors on a lot of things, and I don't think that that's fair for my growth. And it's important that every day, I think consistency is perhaps the worst thing that could happen to humans, and to not to be bitten by that bug. It's very important for you to be open. Now you will find all sorts of people, but nobody's forcing you, right? So at the end of the day, you got to rely on your judgment. You've got to be able to absorb, understand, and respect and appreciate what is coming to you. To be able to choose it or not to choose it is a very end process.
Yeah. So, actually, we're talking on, I think it's the 27th today, 28th. And Kobe Bryant passed away last night. Kobe Bryant was a huge idol for me. And he's actually got me out of a lot of low phases of my own life, my own career. And the one statement of his that stays with me is, you set your own limits. Like everyone puts themselves into brackets, into roofs, saying that no, I can only reach here in life. And your job as a human being is to constantly break those barriers. And I feel like that's the message he's left for his world. What is the message you want to leave for your world? If, say, something wrong would happen tomorrow, what is that one statement you want to be remembered for?
That I will let the world decide. That's not for me to tell. That's obviously going to be something that is going to come out of what I have done. So if it was to be that, then I think the world is a better teacher.
Can I translate this answer?
Jay, please.
I feel like your answer is just stay humble.
Well, if that would be, then yes, I would be happy. If that was to be written on my last journey, I think that is a tag that I could perhaps be in peace of wherever I would have been. Yes. Okay.
Cool. I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Thank you.
That was
I
the
hope
Ranveer
you.
Show.
Sorry for the torture.
No.
And for the sufferance that you had to. But thank you.
I'm a sucker for perspective. So I had a lot of fun. Guys, I will be linking all of Sir's handles down below. Make sure you go follow. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys gained value out of it. So, one quick piece of advice to the youth.
सोच को इतनी गहरी मत करो कि फैसले कमजोर होने लग जाए.
Nice. And execute. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Very kind. And I hope you come back to Udaipur again soon.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. See you guys.